Thanks for that, Luigi and Ivana. I'm Melissa Gronlund. I wrote one of the texts about Laure in the catalogue, and I've been following her work for a long time. I think it's fantastic, and I think the show looks incredible here. We're going to talk for about 45 minutes about little questions like art and life, and then we'll talk a little bit about the work that you see just to our right over here. And we have a translator with us, Cristina, who will help those of you who are the Italian speakers, which I think is many of you. So we'll start off with a few questions about our days, and then we're going to move closer and closer into this space that you share with us now. So, Laure, can you tell me, what did you do this morning?
This morning I woke up and I checked the time. I think I didn't put an alarm clock, so I wasn't sure what time it was yet. I took my right hand and I pushed the cloth. And my hand was a bit moist because it was quite hot in the room, and I could feel the warmth of the sheets. And I got my right leg on the floor and then my left leg on the floor. The floor was really cold, and I could feel the coldness going through my feet. And I walked slowly towards the bathroom. And I opened the door. The door handle was metallic, so quite cold. I pushed the door. I undressed, got into the shower. I put first my right foot, then my left foot. I stood up. I put some hot and cold. And I took some soap and I started putting soap over me. Then I turned off the hot tap and then the cold tap. Melissa, what did you do when you woke up?
Well, I think the question of morning is, you think it's a very easy question, but it's not quite. What is the morning? Is it when you wake up? Is it when the sun comes out, when there's dawn, when your alarm clock goes off? I've just had a baby, so I try to push the morning. I try to make her sleep for just an hour or two longer, and then I try to make morning as late as possible, and I never succeed. And then I saw you at breakfast, didn't I?
Yeah, I saw you at breakfast. Yeah, I could see you. I could see from far. I was just about to butter the bread. I just cut the bread in half and have some. The bread was a bit crispy on the top and inside all soft and moist. And as I thought I'll put a bit of mozzarella in it. And the mozzarella was the same. Was a bit hard on the outside and then soft in the inside.
Mozzarella?
Sì, yeah, bueno.
Mozzarella for breakfast.
Sì, yeah. And then I got some. I saw there was some fruit floating in some juices. They seem really, and they're so moist, and in my mouth they start to melt, and try to. I wanted to try a bit everything there, but it's sort of. I was just very comfortable on my seat, so I couldn't move, and I just ate what was there.
Thank you. I mean, I saw you at breakfast, but I don't know how many people have been on art world jaunts like this, where you find yourself in the hotel breakfast room with people you saw last night, and then you have that terrible social dilemma of whom to sit with if you've come down alone. I came down, I saw 2 groups of people at 2 tables, but there wasn't enough room for 5, so I had to choose. A little bit closer. So I sat there. I chose to sit with Laura and her partner. There are other 2 people that I didn't choose to sit with. I'm sure they're in the audience and they're hearing my dilemma. But that's the problem. You think breakfast is just breakfast, and it's so many other things.
Mi siedo lì, no, 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 mi siedo là, no, 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 è molto presto, no, 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 voglio parlare se sociale, no, 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 dimmi quella che c'è l'ora, forse con lei non devo dire niente, e le persone che ho snobbato stamattina sono qua, e mi guardano, mi metto lì, mi metto là, di là del mattino, di là del mattino.
Then I took a taxi. So we called a taxi, and I just opened the door. Again, I think the taxi must have waited for me quite a while, and so the door handle was really hot. It almost burned my hand. It was sort of painful. I had a big bag because I had to take the clothes I was going to wear tonight. My computer, because we were trying to get the film projection going, and the bag was really heavy on the floor. I sat on the seats, but my bum was quite hot, and it started sticking on the seat a bit, and I had to move a little bit. Like as we went through the city, I could see the light just shining on the beautiful trees, and the light just touched my face a little bit, and it was just such a pleasure to get the sun there. And I was sort of thinking of our day ahead and having to meet you all and being here in public and talking about the day that's going ahead. And when I got out, and I got out, I closed the door, I walked a few steps, I went through the trees there. I touched the grass a little bit just to feel the moist of the water still of the morning. And as I pushed this door, and the door was the metal was still hot on one side, and on the other side, when I closed it, the metal was cold, and in here it was all calm and cold.
Quando è arrivato il mio taxi, deve essere stato molto tempo là, la maniglia scottava. Maniglia, è molto importante la maniglia, torna molte volte la maniglia. Questa maniglia, quando sono scesa ed è girata, cosa è cambiato? Poi sono arrivata qui, oltre le piante, ancora maniglia, ancora bollente, ma dentro era freddo, perché l'arte si tiene al freddo, questo lo aggiungo io, ma sempre questo contrasto caldo e freddo.
A lot of Laura's work, too, is about trying to bring this feeling of the outside, the moisture, the beauty of the trees, the beauty of the sun, the feeling of the sun on your skin, trying to bring it and trying to evoke it in the minds of us as viewers as we watch it. So she's trying to really ask the question, how much can you represent a feeling? How much can you represent pleasure? Which is something that's not always representational. Beauty is representational in that you can see a picture of a beautiful woman, but not so much pleasure. That's a much more difficult thing to create a work about. I think as you can kind of see, what we've been trying to do here is there's so much in life. You know, it's the feelings, but it's also the what you think about, the food you eat, the ways that you walk around the world. And how can art possibly live up to that or be in competition with that, which is what gave us the title for this work, or for this Q&A. So I think this question of how much can art represent real life is one for both of you, you first, and then maybe you want to talk about that in relation to your work.
Yeah, I think when I came here, of course, here in this space, it was much colder than outside, and this environment that has been made to welcome art and to present art and present artists, and how I think how this space sort of let you translate the world. How do you translate what's the experience of the outside? How you translate the emotion of your feet, your bare foot on grass. An image is not your feet on the grass. And how I think that was one of the main question I was asking with this piece. How do you translate an emotion or getting the sun on your face? How this complexity of life, how art can hint a few things, but maybe never it can provoke through memories or through a vision, but they will always try to compete with the actual sun on your face. And that's something that I think this space is about translating. I think being here, you're translating reality. I mean, what is reality, but what's out there, and how do you provoke emotions who can be as strong as the one, or stronger, possibly, if you play with them in different ways. But
piacere fisico in termini visivi, come questo spazio serva per cercare di tradurre una sensazione fisica esulando dai sensi fisici e riproducendo quell'emozione solo.
I'm totally improvising because really, even in English, I have a hard time. So, I mean, really, it's just the content that I'm not smart enough. But no,
you're doing very well.
What did you say? That's why we're here.
To mistranslate.
To mistranslate. Well, I mean, it's true, because one of the ways in words that you can create feeling, that you can create emotion, irrespective of the words that you're saying, is through rhythm and through rhyme and through kind of the feeling of words. So a sentence like, a man walks a dog on the street. It's a very banal sentence, but it kind of has a steady rhythm that mimics the idea of the man walking on the street. A man walks the dog on the street. Can you try that in...
Okay. Un uomo fa passeggiare un cane lungo una strada. No, it doesn't work. Un uomo porta passeggio un cane. It doesn't work either.
You need more staccato, you need consonants.
Un uomo porta passeggio un cane. No, it doesn't work. Listen, we have to find another one. But tipo sopra la panca la capra, campa sotto la panca la capra, crepa sopra la panca la capra, campa sotto la panca la capra, crepa sopra la panca la capra, crepa, campa sopra capra. This works. I understand.
I don't know what you're saying, but that's
the equivalent
That's what I was trying to do. And that's what Laure tries to do. Sometimes I think she uses images as if they're words. They're in this rhythm with these rhymes. You see a blue sky, and then a few images later you see the blue of the sea, and then a few images later you see a woman dressed in blue. And it's kind of subliminal. They come back, but they're in this rhythm, and I don't even know how consciously you put them into the rhythm, but it comes, and I think it's accentuated in this piece, especially by the breathing. You can hear someone's heartbeat kind of directing the force of the piece.
All right.
Your turn.
No, I was really into you. No, aspetta, come facciamo questo? Questo è quello che... Questo è quello che Laure cerca di fare, di mettere in un ritmo le immagini, e non so quando lo faccia consapevolmente o no, ma usa un flow che ritorna in una donna e poi in un cielo e crea un ritmo, e non so quanto lo faccia consapevolmente, ma lei fa questo nella sua arte.
Sì. See, yes, of course. I think a lot. Well, of course, not always, of course, but this idea of the video, where if you had time to see it, it's just, of course, it was very playing on this idea of the rhythm of the basic rhythm of breathing. We all have to breathe to keep going and to see and to walk the one step and the next, and this idea of breathing the images and sort of like a heartbeat, and as a viewer you become controlled by this sound almost. You start having to breathe with the video, and it's something that I'm interested in video as a medium as well, because it demands a lot of your senses. It demands your ear, it demands your vision, and it demands a movement, and it's a lot about trying to use those medium to create also rhythm of smell or rhythm of touch, but this idea of this medium sort of controlling your body as well. This image, as you said, also the subliminal sort of the idea of the color reappearing, it's sort of let you're unconsciously still breathing when we do. So the image are breathing with you at the same time, and that was something I was interested in this project.
Il ritmo del respiro che ci riguarda tutti è partita da lì per costruire un'opera incentrata su respiro e sul ritmo del respiro.
But it's also a fiction of someone breathing. Can you talk about the fictions in your work?
Yeah, the fact that it's controlled, isn't it? The fact that the image exists, maybe just purely the breathing is controlled. It's an edit. I film someone breathing in and breathing out, and I put a few seconds on the edit in between. So it's not. I'm not just. So it's the same with the images. All of the waterfalls is. Actually, it sounds horrible when you film it. It's just like a motorway. Like so you have to get rid of the sound of the river, and you create a new sound. So you're controlling the image, you're controlling what you want to present. And then it becomes all about the idea of someone traveling and the idea of what we want to represent. And it's never... It's a representation. It's in the brain. You construct it, and you control your image, your sound, it's all been worked towards making this sensation.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, and one thing that the video is very much about this sense of pleasure, this kind of this quest toward an immediacy of feeling, an immediacy of an emotion, which you get, if we walked outside, but here we represent it. But on the inside, the kind of the antechamber towards the video, is awash with these different representations of Italy. And I think for us, people who come from Northern Europe, coming down to Italy, we have this idea of Italy as a land of lux, calm, and volupté. It's a grand tour. It's where Auden and Byron and Proust, they all come down and they write about Italy as this place of sexual freedom, sexual exploration. And I think that's something your references play off of, but also kind of tweak. And I think part of your tweaking is that you're a woman writing about these experiences.
Sì.
Molto del lavoro di Laure è basato su un'idea d'Italia come luogo del piacere, come luogo della voluttà, come luogo della bellezza.
Are you sure? Yeah.
Come luogo del lusso.
Okay.
Come luogo delle macchine, no, non più, della moda, sì. Come luogo della qualità della vita, insomma. Ma tutte queste idee sono basate sul pensiero maschile. E qui adesso dice una cosa molto interessante. Sì, male vision, yeah. Pensiero maschile, sì. Yeah, no, I introduced what you were going to say, which I really like. Now, what comes now?
Oh, really? I'm not sure what's coming up.
Well, okay, I might like it.
Yeah, the idea of Italy, I think the idea of coming to a place, I think, as the idea of the Grand Tour, the idea of myself being a French artist from the north of France, a blonde girl who has all this vision of this I think it's a preconception of a place almost, this idea. Like you're going on holiday, you want the sun, you ignore the motorway, and I think this idea of how also was artists, there was writer like Baudelaire and Proust, as you said, it was this idea of what the place should be almost, and the reality. And I was interested in when you go and visit a place, you decide you just want to see the Roman sculptures, or you decide to see, and then you ignore all the reality, but it's part of it as well. So here, in some way, with this project, it was very much I wanted to represent this idea of pleasure and the sun, and I had to get rid of the car sound. I had to get rid of and this. So it's sort of idealized. It's and at the same time it's a sensation. I don't know. There's something else I need to say? No.
I think it's a question also for you. Do you recognize your Italy? What is our Italy now, and is yours a literary representation of it, or is it a reality representation of it? If that can be a
we all have our own vision of every sensation, like everything we do, I guess. But
I mean, all those writers are male, and one key way when you're thinking about pleasure and you're thinking about viewership is you think about voyeurism, which is a sexual desire of looking, and you're looking at things which you desire, and it's not a very high concept, voyeurism. It's something to be avoided, and I think it's something that Laure's work forestalls. She looks. You see these images of these beautiful naked women in the waterfalls, and you kind of want to look more, and then immediately the quick edit kind of stops you from bringing it into that voyeuristic element. And I think that kind of playing on the natural ways that, or the historical ways that women have been represented, especially naked women have been represented in art, is something that your work tweaks these lux, calm, and volupté impressions of Italy.
Yeah.
Molte cose, ma soprattutto Laure devo cantare io. Laure rappresenta un'idea d'Italia che è quella di cui ha bisogno
quello che diceva in prova e che ora non ha ripetuto chiaramente è che quando vivi a Londra hai bisogno di pensare che esista questo luogo che tu identifichi con il sole, con la bellezza, con la storia, con la civiltà, e poi anche se non è così non importa. Shall I sing a song about Italy maybe here?
Yes, please.
Ma che ave cielo sulla città.
Invece che ridere, cantate come.
Tu con il cuore nel fango, l'oro e l'argento.
Urla.
Paese che non ha più campanelli. Roma, dove sei? Eri con me. Oggi prigione tu, prigioniera io. Roma, antica città. Ora
Ma se canto la foto, cosa viene nella foto? No, questo che io non canto. Ma poi per carità, no? Però no.
ora vecchia realtà, non ti accorgi di me e non sai che pena mi fai.
Bello.
Has everyone had some raspberries? Because they were
Yeah.
being passed around. Do
There's
you want to
some.
talk about the raspberries that you added?
Yeah, I think how do you? I'm like the pleasure of this drama of representing a text. Like now we talk about sort of art and the in a sort of in very conventional way, the question and answers, and this how suddenly it becomes an artwork by singing it and by dramatizing it, or how does anything could become pushed and having this idea of the banality we were talking earlier, the banality of going into a shower and the banality, and then it's sort of the drama of it at the same time. It's banal, but it's dramatic, and it's everyday, and it's here with us. She's here next to us, and we can everything could become this drama if the way we look. And I will talk a little bit about the raspberries as well, about memories, how we connect strong emotion to. I've displayed raspberries in the show as an offering of the harshness of metal and the taste. They almost taste like metal, but at the same time they're sweet and they're an offer and they're something we love. And I'm really interested in there's a Peter Kubelka, who's an artist who talks a lot about food and how raspberries, for example, you pick one and it's not so ripe, it's a bit red and tastes not so good. And then the next one you taste, it's a bit better. And then the third one you would pick up when you're a child with your mum, be amazing. You're like, this is the best raspberries. And then in your mind it's just gonna stay. You know, every raspberries you're gonna have ever after you will compare to the best raspberry you had. And I think that's something that keeps coming in the same with the best image, or how about if you take a whole hand of raspberry and eat them all in one go, and then it's like, and the powerful feeling of that taste of that moment, and how you do that with sound, with images. You overload yourself with loads of images. Is it gonna take you somewhere else? And I think in some way that's what we're trying to do even now with you and this moment here. Perfect. Best sound ever.
I'm going to ask 2 more questions about Laure and in her work, and then we're going to open it up to questions from the audience. So please start thinking, and if there's anything that you have that you want to chip in, just raise your hand. I don't know if there's a mic going around, but there might be. And one thing I think that's interesting about Laure's work is that she puts herself into it. So even when she's talking right now, you feel like she's part of the work. She could be in a video right now, and I would be rapt. I'd be happy to watch it. And I think that the use of herself in her videos is really unresolved. She's performing herself, she's the artist, but she's also just Laure. She's not playing that role of the artist, but she is obviously not performing, not just being herself, because she's obviously on camera. So this kind of, this kind of uncertain place that she inhabits is very interesting, and I think it's something that brings us back and gives us a kind of a continuity through her work, because we always see Laure and it's some kind of touchstone, but at the same time it's something that it's really treacherous. We can't believe that we're seeing real Laure on screen. And I'm wondering, how do you feel about how you present yourself in your videos?
Nei lavori di Laure, la protagonista è lei, quella che vedete è lei, e lei usa se stessa come personaggio, e ora ci spiegherà perché, e dopo ci sarà un momento in cui se volete potete fare delle domande, ma adesso parliamo di come mai lei usa se stessa come attrice di questi suoi lavori.
See? Yeah, I think it's a question. It's an interesting question. When we were going through the question this morning, I suddenly realized, yes, I'm a lot in my videos. It's true, and I use my voice, and I use. But it's almost the practicality of it. I'm there. I'm a body like most of us. We have a body, hands, and I just think I'll use my hand if I can, and and I don't need to direct it. I direct myself. Laure, do this, go there, do that, then do this, and try it. So you become. Oh, she's so annoying. But it's this idea of. I think I use myself almost as a prop, as an object as well. I could be a carafe of water, but I can place it where I want. So there's something quite direct about it. I think it's there, and it's. But then I would, if I have the woman in the waterfall, they were there near me. So I thought, oh, would you come with me? Or it's sort of very immediate, I guess. And being able to use myself is just almost. Of course, it means more than I realize, I guess. But there's this unconsciousness that sort of keeps coming through. But
are you performing yourself, or are you just there?
Yeah, no. As you say, I'm performing myself. I think I'm performing. I'm seeing myself as an actor. I remember my mother said, "Oh my God, a video I did a few years ago. Oh, my daughter's not well. Everything's terrible." But it was just I was performing. It was not that bad. So I was playing something, and it's sort of this idea of you, like every actor on the street. People see them like, "Oh, I know them," but you perform. You using yourself as an object. You're using yourself as a prop, and I think that's how I've used myself. So I'm more using that as a tool, basically. Because I don't know how long this video is gonna be.
Uso me stessa per praticità, perché così non devo spiegare a nessuno quello che voglio dal protagonista dei miei video. Ma sto recitando, e quando mi vede mia mamma, povera, non sta male, no, mamma, sto solo recitando, solo recitando. Pensa a quelli che fanno questo di mestiere, le madri degli attori che poi li vedono per strada, ma è solo per quello che mi vedete nei miei video.
Grazie.
I think one of the reasons I asked this question about Laure in her videos is that I think she's kind of interested in this idea of the artist. You know, she's interested in the big question about art. Can art represent pleasure? Can art represent real life? But she's also interested in the figure of the artist. She's just done a book that's called The Artist Book, where she asked other people to each contribute a different stage of the artist's life, and then a fictional story about the artist was created. And she has performances where she has a conceptual artist's grandfather who goes missing in a tunnel, and she has to find him. So this figure of the artist is someone who kind of crops up almost as a prop, but also as a recurring feature of your work. And it's kind of, there are very few artworks that address art so directly, if that makes sense. And I was wondering if you could talk about that a bit.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I think it's, you're an artist or you're doing something else, you position yourself. So, you see, I've been quite productive. You see, I've done a lot. While you were just, this is another video where I say how you've just been listening to us, but while you've been listening, I've been really busy. I've been managing to fold all my clothes that were drying. But this idea of the idea of the artist is definitely something. It's just because you position yourself, you have to almost position yourself in whatever you do. You're a businessman, you're a dentist, you run a beautiful fashion company. You're part of the world in a situation. So I feel that it's sort of it's very direct. I don't know. It seems to have to be a question, but I don't. It's also the positioning it in society, I guess, and what an artist can do or what an artist might be able to do.
I think that relates very well to what Ivana was saying about this idea of the politics of the work and positioning the work in the world. I think maybe that's a nice place to open it up to you guys, talking about these wider contextual issues that art opens on up to. So are there any questions? Does anyone have anything they want to get translated into opera? It's your one chance.
It's your one chance.
Prometto che tradurrò fedelmente senza aggiungere niente. Tradurrò solo.
I will only translate.
Ah, okay.
If you want.
Yeah.
Or I can sing. That's as you wish.
No.
Scaldiamo l'atmosfera con una canzoncina. See? Maybe I sing something before we end, because they're a little bit shy. You know. So.
For 20 years, I've been thinking a tunnel as his last concept.
I think in this competition, art might be winning against life. We've got two questions.
Can I ask Laura whether, when you got to Italy, it lived up to your preconceptions of what Italy was? Did you expect to find an opera singer?
I've asked to have an opera singer. I didn't bump into one on the street. it was an idea first, but.
The question is whether Laura found that whether Italy fulfilled her expectations.
Yeah, well, I think it was. I think that's something I was working with all the time, thinking it did, and it did give me more, I guess, from what I was expecting as well. But also, I had a bit like a horse where you want to, you decide what you want to see, and you decide what you want to show. And I wanted to show a bit the preconception. It was playing on that, the Grand Tour, but what you don't. A bit idolizing a place as well, but I also, got a lot of surprise and the energy of people and the audience and how we all part of it, and you become part of. I was part of Italy, even though I was not Italian, and I think it was both. I still had my clear ideas, I think, but at the same time, many things came in, for sure. Many things surprised me, and it was just. But I think this idea of, it was very. It was definitely very. There was much more. It's too complex to even imagine it, basically. So it was much more than just an idea. But playing on both, I guess, with the work. But direi
di sì, che l'Italia ha fulfilled,
realizzato,
l'Italia
ottenuto,
ha fulfilled my expectations.
sì,
Sì,
soddisfatto.
direi di sì, che l'Italia ha soddisfatto le mie aspettative. Oddio, è molto più complicato di così, la risposta potrebbe stare qui una ventina di minuti, ma poiché abbiamo una vita e abbiamo anche fame, forse, non so più, quindi direi che per farla semplice risponderò di sì.
bello.
Ivana?
Why are you dressed as columns?
Melissa made them yesterday.
This is about the level of artistry that I could come up with, but I didn't make them. No, we wanted to. We thought they were funny. First of all, we thought it's good to take yourself down a peg or two. This is what neither of us are English, but this is what the English people do. We live in England. But it's also to this idea between representations and life, and this idea of the Roman columns, and Italy as this land of history, and Italy as this land of Roman history in particular.
Yeah, and how you need to carry it around. It's also heavy for Italy, I think. I'd be like, how do you carry all that history and move on, and also be part of... I think the columns are well used for technology and installation, but I think how does all this... there's a weight to it as well, and there's a... but we also part of history, and I think that was quite nice to place ourselves there. Pajamas.
Perché siete vestite da colonne? Domanda. Perché rappresentano il peso della storia? Risposta.
All right. Yeah? Well, all right. Well, thank you very much for being such a great audience, and let's have huge applauses for our artists on either side of me, not me, but
for you, Melissa. Grazie. Thanks to you all who make the work, the audience.